because, you know, all of that's in there that they really need is a table, and they bring all their supplies in. And I'll play you a little video on that one too. So this right here, this is a mesher, and what they're doing is, because skin is actually so valuable because it can only be kept for so long, they'll mesh the skin to stretch it out because, you know, I mean, sometimes you can only pick and choose how much you're going to get, and if you only have a foot and you need 2 foot, well, you can mesh it and stretch it and, you know, try to get that viable graft for that person.
I have a question, and it might sound kind of rude, but with all the bariatric surgeries they do, with all that extra skin, does that ever get donated, or?
It's a tricky situation, because a lot of times, sometimes it does, yes, get donated. I don't know how much exactly, but
it seems like it'd be.
Sometimes it does get donated. I don't know a whole lot about that process, but yes, in some cases that does get donated. I'm not sure if it doesn't happen very often due to, you know, how it's recovered, or the process, or, you know, even if that person's agreed to it, or the information that they're given. So, and then we'll head down to the next couple of sterile rooms. So we're going to have bone powder, which is right here. A lot of the bone stuff that's done in bone powder is you'll take whole shafts from either humeruses, femurs, tibias, stuff like that, leg and arm bones, and they'll actually be ground up into little fine particulate and then run through, and then they'll be used in dental surgeries. Like you can see this this skull right here is showing, like, if they were to implant some of the bone powder, where, like, let's say somebody lost some teeth or they had some cancer in their jaw, where they would actually take out that bad part of the bone and then they would put the donor bone in there. And then the interesting thing about donor bone, or some people even call it some people even call it cadaver bone, is they'll implant that bone in, and it will be foreign, but the interesting thing about it is within a couple of months, your actual body then breaks down that bone and replaces it with its own, so you actually don't have a foreign bone in you. It's weird.
Creeping substitution.
You don't have that foreign bone in you for very long because it's then broken down and replaced by your own. So, and then, let's see.
Now, real quick with the bone powder.
Yeah.
There again, couldn't you retain the shavings of that process and
they've looked into that, and I don't know what ended up coming out with the testing, but that was one of the things. Yeah.
Pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, but I'm not exactly sure on what all was the whole outcome. So, but and then this is a video on the bone powder here. So you'll see that they'll end up, after it's been processed through a few other processes, they'll get the shafts, and you can tell how white they are because all the cells pretty much have already been taken out of them, and they're put in this big machine here, and it literally has huge grinding wheels in there, and then it grinds it up into chips, and it ends up coming out, and then you'll see it go into a jar like this, and then they might run it through acid and make it into a putty, or it might actually go into a jar and then into dental surgery. So.
How fine powder? Like
the particulate, if we're talking micrometers, I mean, we're talking
like dust.
Tiny dust, yeah.
Can't they just order it to whatever size that the doctor wants?
Like, if you see, if I can rewind this, I don't know if I can.
They had a
not.
mesh screen.
If you saw the mesh screen here, this is 850 micrometers small, and so that's one of the sizes a doctor might request for his specific surgery. He has a purpose or a reason why he wants the particulate that small. So, and we run it through a variation of different sieve sizes to get that exact size that they want. So, and then down here, that one's N5. Okay. Down here, this is a traditional processing room, and no one's actually N5, but you can look across the hall and you can see, what are they doing over there? Skin, tendons?
Something with bodies.
Something with bodies. I'm not sure what they're doing over there. But you can see the people in blue. You notice they're only touching blue stuff, so the people in blue are only touching blue table covers. A lot of this is going into aseptic and sterile technique. So while those people are scrubbed in with their gowns and gloves, they won't touch their face. It's a fishbowl effect, and sometimes the fish look back. And so while they're scrubbed in, they won't touch anything within 2 inches distal of their elbow, so they have their forearm to their hand is considered sterile or aseptic, and then they have a box on their chest to about their belly button. So they'll only touch that area or anything on the blue table. They won't touch their face, their legs, anything below tabletop. And that's put into the process to just keep any, risk of contamination down to bare minimum, because then after it leaves here, it gets irradiated, and that's just not that the tissue will be contaminated, but you want to reduce or get rid of the risk of any possible contamination. We do gamma, and we do a couple other, we do like Sub-Zero, I'm not sure, in R&D.